Hard with a $3 medium pumpkin spice signature latte. America runs on Dunkin'.
Oh, how we've missed you, college football. But you are back in all your glory in the Commonwealth of Virginia at SB Ballard Stadium, where a sold-out crowd greets the Virginia Tech Hokies and the hometown Old Dominion Monarchs. A fledgling ODU program in its first year and first game in the Sun Belt takes on one of the powerhouses of the ACC with a new man in charge. Brent Pry, season number 1 in Virginia Tech, facing against one of his close friends, Ricky Ronnie, the two assistants together at Penn State and Vanderbilt for 9 years. And when you know it, in Brent Pry's first game as head coach, they go head-to-head. Kevin Brown, Hudson Mason, former Georgia quarterback. It's a thrill to have college football back. And this is a really interesting matchup, too. A game won by Old Dominion 4 years ago. The Hokie fans don't want to think about that. They don't want to think about the past. They want to think about the future. And the future, they hope, is bright with a new man in charge.
Yeah, and for Virginia Tech, it's all about the start of a new era in more than one ways. It's the start of a new era for Brent Pry, but it's also the start of a new era for Grant Wells, the quarterback who's come over from Marshall. And there is an optimism and energy around this Virginia Tech football program that hasn't existed in quite a while.
They needed a head coach that bled maroon. They got one in Brent Pry, who was a graduate assistant at Virginia Tech way back in 1995 through 97. 31 years as a college football head coach. It's been a bit of a meandering road to get back here where he always felt he belonged. Defensive coordinator, linebackers coach for James Franklin for over a decade between Vanderbilt and Penn State. And it's a roster that needed an infusion of talent, a team that really struggled to throw the ball last year. Adds one of the best available transfers, Grant Wells from Marshall.
Yeah, they go out and add one of the better gunslingers through the transfer portal, and that's exactly how I would describe him. Gunslinger. He'll let it rip in the windows that a lot of people can't throw it to. He's got a live arm. He's got a lot of experience, a 2-year starter at Marshall. The one question mark is, can he cut down on the turnovers? 22 turnovers in 2 seasons at Marshall.
Won a game over Old Dominion last year, Grant Wells, so he knows this team. And it was a Monarchs team that was in the midst of a real struggle when they faced Grant Wells and Marshall a season ago. It's taken a while for Old Dominion to get to where they think their football potential is, and they feel like they're on the right track finally after a 2020 season that did not happen. ODU, one of a few schools to cancel its football season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They came back in 2021, did not get off to the start they wanted, 1-6, but rallied. 5-0 in their final 5 games to become bowl eligible and make just their second bowl game in program history, the Myrtle Beach Bowl, where they would lose to Tulsa. But the loss is a footnote to a phenomenal end of the season for Old Dominion with 2 burgeoning stars at the skill positions.
Yeah, Old Dominion's got 2 elite Sunday-type guys at the skill position group. Tight end Zach Kuntz, 73 receptions last year. That was second among tight ends in college football. 6'8", an absolute matchup nightmare. And then Ali Jennings out wide, who can take the top off the coverage.
There hasn't been much of an atmosphere like this in the short football history of the Old Dominion Monarchs, a program that began in 2009, has only been in FBS for around a decade or so, and tonight will host its largest crowd in program history. Every seat sold, 21,944 here in beautiful Norfolk, Virginia. They are an underdog, but not a major underdog at home to a Virginia Tech team that is going through a coaching change, has not had a couple of good recruiting cycles. There is optimism, as you said, Hudson, in Blacksburg, but for right now, Old Dominion feels like it has more than a puncher's chance to take out an ACC school.
They really do. They return a lot of starters on both sides of the ball, 10 on defense, 7 on offense. They return a lot of playmakers out wide, but more importantly at the quarterback position.
Ricky Ronnie, the head coach in his 3rd year and 2nd season, took over before the 2020 year that never was. One of the bright young coaches in the game. His offense and Brent Pry's defense were rather feisty, often in combat in practices at Penn State. The two who are close, their families, their kids are close. They haven't talked that much this offseason because they earmarked this date. And college football returns on this date, September the 2nd, 2022 in Norfolk, with Virginia Tech in possession and Keyshawn King tripped up near the 25. So a fired up Old Dominion crowd will get its first taste of Grant Wells in a Hokie uniform. Let it come back against Old Dominion with Marshall last season.
Yeah, there's familiarity with Grant Wells on both sides of the ball. Like you mentioned, when he was at Marshall as a 2-year starter last year, he led Marshall to a victory over Old Dominion. Talking to Blake Seiler, the defensive coordinator for Old Dominion, he said one thing he wants to do better is trust his corners and put pressure on the quarterback through blitzing.
Wells, the first freshman to be named first team all-conference in Conference USA history, and this first play is to the tight end Nick Gallo. A short pickup for Virginia Tech on first down. A gain of 4 on the first play from scrimmage this season. Grant Wells at Charleston, West Virginia. He actually drove up to Blacksburg for Frank Beamer's last game. His father, David, a Virginia Tech alum. It's a full circle moment for Grant, who will wait for a penalty call, the first of the game.
Illegal snap. Offense number 55. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Dwayne Winkler, our referee. Johnny Jordan, the center for Virginia Tech, with a penalty. And there are the numbers for Grant Wells. His dad, David, tried out for the Hokies football team in 1987. Tried to get there as a walk-on, but doctors found a heart murmur. He could not play, but he did graduate in 1991. And now here is his son, firing a strike for completion. Caleb Smith gets those 5 yards back, but it is 3rd and long coming up for Virginia Tech.
And this is an area where defensive coordinator Blake Seiler really feels like they can improve the most second time around facing Grant Wells. 3rd and medium. He said he wants to pressure and trust his senior corners that he's got out wide, and Trey Hawkins and Tobias Harris.
It is an empty backfield on 3rd and 6. Whole lot of noise in Norfolk, and Wells right against the pressure delivers a dart. The first down of the season to the tight end Gallo.
And there he is. He brings a pressure straight off the edge to the left. Virginia Tech offensive linemen do a great job picking it up, and Grant Wells does what a quarterback has to do is he makes a defensive coordinator pay when he blitzes.
9 yards to Gallo and another passing play. Been a pass-heavy start. This is Caleb Smith, the leading returning receiver. Maybe a couple.
It's going to be interesting coming in this game to see what offensive coordinator Tyler Bowen, what his offense was going to look like. First time calling plays for him. Dates back to his relationship at Penn State with Brent Pry and coming over from Jacksonville being the tight ends coach.
There are about 1 million Penn State connections with these staffs. There are about 1 million overlaps between Virginia Tech and Old Dominion staff members who've gone from one place to another. It's a game chock full of subplots, which finally includes a running play. Keyshawn King gets the first carry of the season, the redshirt junior. Virginia Tech without its leading returning rusher, Malachi Thomas. Jalen Holston, the scheduled starter, a game-time decision, and it is King, the redshirt junior, who gets the first run.
Yeah, you're going to see some names that you probably didn't expect to see get a little bit more playing time tonight at the running back position.
Third and 5. Wells. Some contact there and no penalty. Dawan Lofton was covered by Robert Kennedy, the junior safety, and Old Dominion holds up on the 3rd down.
Well, you see the pressure right here through the middle. Both A-gaps, both linebackers are brought. Forces the ball to come out quick of the hand of Grant Wells. And nice tight coverage in the secondary by Robert Kennedy. I love how defensive coordinator Blake Seiler didn't go away from the blitz, even though he got burned by it the first time on 3rd down. He came back to it. He trusted his guys, and that's what it's going to take to put pressure on the quarterback.
Told us it was all about 3rd medium against Grant Wells. They go 1 for 2, get the ball back on this first drive. Isaiah Page, an all-conference punt returner, is waiting, and the clock is run out here on Virginia Tech.
Kicking team. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
So, the least penalized team in the ACC in 2021 with a pair of penalties on the opening drive in 2022. Peter Moore, who is the lone all-ACC returner, the Hokie punter, will kick it away to Page. Old Dominion, a very good special teams group a season ago. There's a great punt by Moore, pinning Page back at the 11-yard line. A punt of 52 and no return. It'll be Monarch ball for the first time this season when we return.
Electrified. Hanguk Tire.
Your friends are still building sandcastles, but you've already booked a hot air balloon foliage tour. Bold move for some, another day in the fall for you. Fall hard with a $3 medium pumpkin cream cold brew. America runs on Dunkin'.
If there was a bingo card for this game, the free space in the middle would be Penn State reference. Brett Pry, 8 years defensive coordinator. Rick Urani was the OC for 6 of those. Those two went head-to-head in practice. They're very good friends working for James Franklin. There's Ricky on the left. There's Brent on the right. Both knew the other one would be a head coach someday, and both said this week their relationship with the other one is good, but they wish it was better. They're happy that their respective friends are getting head coaching jobs, but they're not happy. They're going to have to play each other for a long time. These schools are locked into a contract to play the next 10 years. Hayden Wolf will take the first snap for Ricky Ronnie's Old Dominion Monarchs. And Wolf will hand it off to Blake Watson, fourth leading rusher in the conference a season ago, and a gain of 3 yards. Well, for the first time, Hayden Wolf starts a season under center. Sophomore who gained about 15 to 20 pounds of muscle in the offseason. You see at the bottom there, Hudson, a 5-2 record. They really took off when he became the starter last year.
Yeah, they really took off offensively when he started to excel in the RPO game, the run-pass options. Quick hands and makes good, quick decisions in the run and pass game.
Looking for the tight end, Zach Kuntz, instead checks down. And a short pickup shy of the first down for Watson. Dax Hollifield, Virginia Tech's leading tackler, made the play.
Now that decision right there doesn't seem like a big one, but the ability to get through his progressions and get to a check down quickly now puts them in a third and more manageable situation. Hayden told us when we met with them this week that the coaches were hammering to him all offseason. You can't go broke without taking a profit.
His big target is Kuntz, the tight end, number 80 at 6'8". He's in the slot right on this 3rd and 3. Hollifield brings pressure. It's picked up, and Hollifield got his hands to it, and the pass is incomplete. A little bit shy of Jordan Bly. Hollifield had the pressure up the gut, and a 3-and-out for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, they bring pressure right up the middle, and Hayden goes away from the pressure, but it's tipped by Dax Hollifield, the heartbeat, the inside linebacker, the Mike linebacker of this Virginia Tech defense, a guy that's played a lot of snaps, and a guy that really the coaches gelled with and molded with extremely quickly. That's what makes this Virginia Tech defense kind of scary. They got a playmaker in every part, every level of the defense from the secondary down.
Ethan Dwayne will punt to DJ Harvey. Should be good field position for the Hokies. That's not a good punt by Dwayne. It takes a fortunate Monarchs bounce, though, a very fortunate bounce, and just keeps on rolling. Ultimately a kick of 48. Now Virginia Tech will begin its second drive. Brett Pry takes over for Justin Fuente this year, a Virginia Tech tenure that had more downs than ups. Fuente and the Hokies parted ways near the end of the regular season. They did beat Virginia in the regular season finale to make a bowl. They were smashed by Maryland in the Pinstripe Bowl. Braxton Burmeister didn't turn it over much, but it was not an explosive offense. 97th in the country in scoring offense, 112th in FBS in pass yards, just over 176 passing yards per game. Here's King on the run, trying to spin free of a tackle, gets a little bit extra, and Hudson, it was just not an explosive offense for Virginia Tech a season ago. They're hoping Wells will change that.
Yeah, I mean, he brings experience, he brings a presence to the room, and more importantly, he should bring stability to the room. He's got a chance because of an extra year in eligibility of COVID to potentially be a 3-year starter. To put that in perspective, Virginia Tech has had 7 starting quarterbacks in 6 years.
Last starting quarterback, 20 games or more in college, Michael Brewer. 7 years ago. Big pressure there. Still got rid of it, Wells. And Caleb Smith is inside the 25. Oh, Wells took a blow and then delivered one of his own right over the top of Trey Hawkins.
Well, they bring a corner blitz. Artarian Johnson from the boundary, and Grant Wells hangs in there and delivers a strike.
A 40-yard play, and now a slippery run by King. Grant Wells has already endeared himself to these Hokie fans.
Well, it's a perfect pressure, but Grant Wells sees the pressure, he stares it down, and he still delivers a strike. And this is how you earn the respect quickly of your teammates. When you know you got to stand inside the pocket, stare down the gun barrel, and still deliver it, there's not a better and quicker way to earn the respect of your teammates than reps like that.
Wells will take it this time. He is all alone. He is going to score. Grant Wells immediately stamps his name into Virginia Tech's program with an 18-yard touchdown run after a 40-yard strike a couple of plays ago. And it is a lightning-quick start for the new man under center.
Well, Tyler Bowen, the offensive coordinator, told us he is more athletic than people give him credit for. And there you see it, just a zone read. He's got his eyes on the defensive end, Harris. The defensive end crashes, and he pulls it, and there's no secondary player to account for the quarterback.
Had 9 rushing touchdowns in 2 seasons at Marshall. Extra point is up and through. Will Ross, the new kicker. The first drive, only 1 first down for Virginia Tech. The second, and the Hokies look like a finely tuned machine. The hit by Johnson. Wells shakes it off, and a couple of plays later, he gives the Hokies the first score of 2022.
Football, beer, wings. Yes. Boneless wings on pizza. TVs, overtime, wings on pizza. Sauce, friends, wings on pizza. Wings, pizza, pizza, wings, beer, and now pizza! B-Dubs is the only place for football.
Across the country, businesses have had to adjust how they operate and make difficult decisions to protect their employees, customers, and communities. While we don't yet fully know where this road will lead, we do know you don't have to walk it alone. When you're ready, Cox Media's team of experts will be here to offer thoughtful perspective on messaging and media planning as your customers are evolving how they watch, read, and connect. We're here to help you navigate this together. Cox Media. Better together.
First time Virginia Tech visited Norfolk 2018. The Hokies were ranked 13th, flying high after a 2-0 start. Old Dominion was 0-3. It did not go as planned. Lake LaRussa came off the bench and threw for 495 yards and 4 touchdowns. The signature moment, maybe in the Old Dominion program history, a 49-35 stunner. In a game where ODU was a 28.5 point underdog. It was maybe the low point. There were a few of Justin Fuente's Virginia Tech era, a Hokies team that was expected to be a prime ACC contender. It's a signature moment for Old Dominion, and certainly 28.5 points. We're nowhere close to that kind of spread today, as Old Dominion thinks they can pull off another upset.
No, we're not, but Old Dominion has got a lot of talent offensively. They return a lot of starters, and more importantly, the most important position, which is the quarterback.
Marion James, good kick returner, knocked down to the 20 here. Do you remember that game from 4 years ago? I remember sitting in an airport just being stunned as the scores kept rolling in.
Yeah, I remember it as clear as day.
They do around here, by the way. They haven't forgotten about it anytime soon.
No.
It's just the 4th meeting between these teams. They're going to play for the next 10 years, and Virginia Tech will be making the trip down here several times. This is a big recruiting area for Virginia Tech. Norfolk, Hampton Roads area. A lot of great Hokies have come from here, and they're hoping to put on a show for the traveling faithful. Hayden Wolf will begin the second drive for Old Dominion. Running back is Watson. And Watson will take it, bounce it, And pick up a good chunk on first down. Nasir Peoples, the All-ACC honorable mention safety, runs him out after a gain of about 7.
Well, Virginia Tech defense does a really good job of kind of forcing the ball to the perimeter. The problem is the safety or the outside linebacker should have that gap, and that's what Blake Watson is good at. He's very patient. If he doesn't see it initially, he'll find that hole, even if he's got to bump it to the outside.
Ran for 102 yards per game last year, 4th best in the conference. He is the guy in this running back room. Watson will take it again, dance around in the backfield, and he is just a little bit shy of the first down. The hope from Ricky Ronnie is not to get Blake Watson 215 carries again. He was just so good last year they couldn't help it. Ran for 8 touchdowns, over 5 per carry. And Watson here is absolutely walloped in the backfield. Needed a yard and went nowhere, and nowhere would have been an improvement as Virginia Tech holds up for a second straight drive. It was Norrell Pollard, the defensive tackle in the backfield.
Old Dominion tries to come up and run a little bit of a tempo. New offensive coordinator Kevin Reiner decides he wants to go a little bit of NASCAR tempo and 3rd and short, but Virginia Tech totally expecting it. And Norrell Pollard right there, the defensive tackle position, shoots the gap and splits the double team and gets a tackle for loss.
12.5 tackles for loss for the senior captain in his career. 3 touches for Watson, who's touched it 5 of the first 6 for ODU. Harvey, there was contact there, and that is not legal. Punt of 48. Much of that yardage is about to be subtracted.
Kick catch interference. Kicking team number 2. 15-yard penalty. First down.
There's Lamarian James flying down the field overzealously.
See if he sees fair catch. See it in that shot.
Oh, I didn't see one either.
A lot of times now, the referees are really having conversations with coaches and punt returner, kick returners about, when you're waving your hand, try to be intentional about it. And it's easier said than done for these guys that are catching punts. Sometimes they just wave their hand really quickly, and it can be kind of easy to miss. We saw it last night in the West Virginia Pitt game, where both guys actually waved their hand and just got the ball on the 1-yard line.
I think we saw everything in the West Virginia Pitt game last night. What a way that was to start week 1. And Maury Morrison with a stop here after a run of a yard by Keyshawn King. What's exciting you the most about the start of this season? I know we're only a few minutes in, but you got to have the juices flowing.
I just think there's a lot of interesting storylines in a lot of different conferences. I mean, Old Dominion going to the Sun Belt. Great Group of 5 conference. Virginia Tech, what's that going to look like this year?
Wells, incomplete. Off the hands of Gallo. Tight coverage will set up a 3rd down and 9. It was Terry Jones, the sophomore safety.
Old Dominion bringing in some fresh legs along the defensive line here, getting to their nickel sub-package. Nickel meaning 5 DBs on the field in a predictable passing situation.
Blake Seiler, defensive coordinator for Old Dominion in his 3rd year. Part of a very young coaching staff, the youngest in the nation. Wells pressured. Wells runs it. Wells not close. Needed 9, got 4. D.B. Harris, a transfer from Minnesota, will set up a Virginia Tech punt.
Well, they show pressure from our left side here and actually end up swapping it and bringing the pressure to the field. A great creative job by Blake Seiler, the defensive coordinator, to show pressure and disguise it from one area, but to actually bring it from another.
How do you feel like their pressure packages have worked so far?
I think they've worked well. I mean, that's the thing as the opposition and the quarterback. And I got the sense after meeting with Old Dominion's defensive staff this week that they were going to be aggressive. They were going to blitz a lot and live and die by it.
This is a fair catch signal for sure. Page almost got undercut by his teammate. 37 on the Pete Moore punt. 3rd Monarch possession when we return to Norfolk.
Kuntz not even in here. Oh, yeah, there he is.
Two great matchups highlight college football's Week 1 Saturday. Number 11 Oregon and the defending champion Georgia Bulldogs. 3:30 Eastern tomorrow in the annual Chick-fil-A kickoff game from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And then 7:30 Eastern, Marcus Freeman's first game as Notre Dame head coach. Have fun, you're going to the Horseshoe against second-ranked Ohio State. ABC and streaming live on the ESPN app. I suspect you may have a thought or two on your alma mater, the defending national champions.
Just a couple.
Okay, what you got? They going to run it back?
You going to put me on the spot right now?
Right now. 6:07, first quarter, game 1. Keyshawn Wicks takes it for a yard. What do you think of this Georgia team this year? Where could they be better? Where might they suffer?
Yeah, still a really talented team. I mean, you look at the way Kirby Smart has recruited. They've got dudes. But they did have 15 guys get drafted, 5 guys in the first round, and predominantly a lot of them on the offensive side of the ball. So I think they'll take a step back a little bit defensively, but even if they give up 7 or 10 more points a game, last year they gave up only 10 points per game. So 17 points per game still isn't that bad.
Second down, Hayden Wolf steps away from pressure. They're looking for Wolf to run a little bit more this year, and he does so well there. Right near the first down, he picked up 8.
Yeah, and Old Dominion needed that offensively. The 2 drives before that, 3 plays and 7 yards on both drives. I mean, you can see here, this time, Brent Pry decides to play coverage, and man, right guard for Old Dominion there might have gotten away with a hold and a yank on Mario Kendricks.
Leroy Thomas, a right guard for an offensive line that returns 4 starters. The new center is Xavier Black, a walk-on. Wicks is the running back on 3rd and a yard. The give is to Wicks, cutting it back, cutting it again, and Keyshawn Wicks with a nice first impression. The redshirt sophomore for 6, and the first down for ODU.
Well, when it's been 3rd and short, Old Dominion has tried to run the ball up the middle, and you can see accounted for in every gap for Virginia Tech defensively. Ball gets bounced outside. Dax Holyfield right there to make the tackle. It's press, press, press. Ball gets outside, and it's a nice cutback by Wicks for a first down.
Wicks will receive this pass. Got a good block on the outside. Broke a tackle. Breaks another one, but a flag is thrown for the secondary. And this electric Monarch sideline might have to cool it for a moment. It's a gain of 16. It does not look likely to stand.
So many times when the ball gets bounced to the perimeter like this with a receiver or a running back, it's a wide receiver that gets called for holding.
Holding. Offense number 18. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Javon Harvey, wide receiver, expected to be a full-time starter for the first time.
See just a simple running back screen out to the perimeter, and Javon Harvey right there to the top of your screen. I don't know.
The crowd didn't either. So it'll be 1st and 6 with a holding penalty factored in. Old Dominion from its own 40. The back here is Tariq Sims, another running back toss. And Holyfield smothers him after a gain of a couple of yards. Dax Holyfield, leading tackler for the Hokies a season ago, a 2-time captain, has been very active in this first quarter.
We talked about Tyler Bowen, offense coordinator for Virginia Tech. This being the first time in his career he's calling plays, but it's also the first time calling plays for Old Dominion's offensive coordinator, Kevin Reiner, which, by the way, halfway through training camp, he was expecting to be the tight ends coach, and Dave Patinoy, their offensive coordinator, abruptly left. So he's been thrust in this position rather quickly.
Here comes pressure. Wolf saw it. Incomplete pass. Keontae Jenkins had the pressure off the edge. A little bit of tumult at the end of the Old Dominion offseason. Patino, a veteran offensive coordinator, resigned on August 12th. That's just 3 weeks ago. So for Ricky Ronnie, it's a new offensive coordinator on the fly. The good news is Kevin Reiner did call plays in the bowl game last year. At 30 years old, he is one of the bright young offensive minds in the sport, Ricky Ronnie thinks. Ricky's a pretty good offensive mind to lean on as well. A 4-man rush on 3rd and 4. Wolf throws it to nobody, and there is a flag. There was contact right in the middle of the field. Isaiah Page was looking for a penalty marker, and he got it.
Well, the question is did he slip or was it actually pass interference?
Pass interference. Defense number 1. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Jamari Connor on the coverage. And Isaiah Page running a deep out route from the slot. He's to your left right here, and you're going to see it kind of in your camera screen. Right there to the top of your left as he tries to come out of the break. And whether your feet get tangled up or not, a back judge looking at that is going to throw that pass interference flag every single time. And a big break after the missed opportunity on the explosive play to Keyshawn Wicks.
Already 3 penalties for the Hokies. Nothing here for Wicks on first down. Nasir Peoples on the stop as the clock ticks under 3 in his first quarter.
Yeah, and no targets so far for Ollie Jennings or Zach Kuntz. Zach Kuntz, big 6'8" tight end, 73 receptions last year, which was second among tight ends in college football. I know Kevin Reiner is thinking about a way to get him the ball before this first quarter ends. He's attached to your screen. He's attached to the top of your screen here.
He was trying to make himself as small as possible. He'll be a blocker here. Wolf steps up and throws it incomplete. Looked like Jennings was the target there.
Well, we saw Hayden Wolf decide to run on the drive previously when there was nobody open. And watch this here. I mean, if he decides to step up and run here to the right, basically use himself as a check down here to the right, he's going to at least pick up 5 yards, if not more. He decides to kind of force one back across the field instead.
Quick throw on 3rd and 10. That's incomplete. In and out of the hands of Jordan Bly. Old Dominion is in Virginia Tech territory here. 4th and 10 at the Hokie 43. And it looks like they will send out the punt team.
Virginia Tech defensively is not sitting back on 3rd down. I mean, Brent Pry, who's calling the plays for this Hokies defense, told us this week he wants to be aggressive. He wants the DNA of this Virginia Tech defense to be known as being aggressive, being strong, and being intense. And when it comes to 3rd and medium and 3rd and long, he is bringing heat, and he is speeding the mind up of Hayden Wolf, and it is working so far.
William Kakavitsas is back. And Kakavitsas is going to get out of the way of this one. Oh, no, he grabbed it late. Would you look at that? Surprise, surprise. So you were mentioning aggressive Virginia Tech defense. That is part of Virginia Tech's history. It's been part of the fabric of this program for a long time. And this year the Hokies brought back an old tradition. The lunch pail. Ah, yes. That Bud Foster lunch pail defense. Bud Foster, the longtime defensive coordinator at Tech, the lunch pail for years carried out by a player before the game, symbolizes the blue-collar work ethic, the toughness, the relentlessness of Virginia Tech football. It might just be a little symbol, but to these players and to these coaches, it means everything. And Brent Pry told us he knew when he got the job, one of the first things he would do would be to bring back the lunch pail, which is symbolic of the type of defense he feels like his team's played at Penn State and that he wants to bring back to Blacksburg.
It's one of the more iconic things in college football, the lunch pail. When you think about the lunch pail defense of Virginia Tech football, you think about the mentality and the fabric of Virginia Tech football. And the lunch pail not only means a lot to the football program, it means a lot to the community. And you talk to people in and around Blacksburg and around the football program, the first thing they bring up is, oh, the lunch pail's back. The lunch pail mentality's back. I mean, it is absolutely in the DNA and the fabric of the community and the university.
Hopefully it's been cleaned in the last 5 years. Here's a cut for Keyshawn King. And King is tripped up by Robert Kennedy. The lunch pail was introduced as a concept in Blacksburg in 1995. Brent Pry was a grad assistant at Virginia Tech that year. He was inspired by Bud Foster, the way he coached, the way he taught, the way he led young men. He continues to lean on Bud Foster. The two talk a couple of times a week. He said sometimes it's about how to attack a bunch, sometimes it's about the Allman Brothers.
Well, speaking of bunch here, you got a bunch set to your right. Condensed formation. Let's see how Old Dominion decides to cover it.
There's some late pressure. It's picked up nicely by the running back, King. Wells lofts it. Intercepted! He overthrew it right into the breadbasket of Terry Jones.
Just the play that this Old Dominion defense needed to get this crowd back into it. They've been struggling to get the ball on their side of the 50, and now they'll have it. But it all starts with the pressure. Pressure straight up the middle again. It's been the common theme in the first quarter for defensive coordinator Blake Seiler. And watch the timing of this blitz straight up the middle here. And just a little bit too much air thrown on the ball by Grant Wells leads to an interception.
What was the one thing you said Grant Wells needs to improve this year?
Interceptions, 22 of them in 2 years at Marshall. Big-time arm, big-time potential, but the one knock on him has been interceptions and decision-making.
And the Baltimore kid, Terry Jones, who's really grown into a leader, picks up the INT, his first. Pressure came from Stephen Williams, and it is Old Dominion ball in Virginia Tech territory. A run for Watson on first down, and Blake Watson bursts through the left side for 8 yards.
And there comes that first kind of big play in the run game, the inside zone. Every offensive line just kind of stepping to the left and taking a guy in their gap. And the inside zone is really a play that Blake Watson thrives in because of his vision and his patience.
Second down, right back to him. To the outside right this time. First down, Watson. 5 yards down to the Hokie 23. Jamari Connor in on the stop.
I'll tell you what you got to love if you're Blake Watson is just the total commitment and buy-in from your receivers to be blocking down the field when the ball is run. Most receivers will take the play off when it's a run play. At Old Dominion, these coaches challenge them to read force on the safety, dig out the safety, block the alley, and that right there was a great example of it.
I'd ask about your receivers that took plays off, but oh, look, we're going to break, so just have to tell me off.
It's convenient.
It's 7-0 Virginia Tech. Old Dominion is driving. A back-and-forth first quarter as college football returns to the Commonwealth. The Hokies struck first on the touchdown run from Wells, but off the Jones interception, the Monarchs are driving as we get set for quarter number 2.
We're Carvana, the company who invented car vending machines and buying a car 100% online. Now we've created a brand new way for you to sell your car. Whether it's a year old or a few years old, we want to buy your car. So go to Carvana, enter your license plate, answer a few questions, and our techno wizardry calculates your car's value and gives you a real offer in seconds. When you're ready, we'll come to you, pay you on the spot, and pick up your car. That's it. So ditch the old way of selling your car and say hello to the new way at Carvana.
So, you're at the age now where you may start feeling certain urges to buy things at full price.
You read my diary?
But honey, you should really think about practicing safe spending with Amazon. You get low prices on everyday essentials, plus free shipping on millions of items. Do you have any questions?
What is bang for your buck?
Learn all the ways to save with Amazon.
Might not be a better receiver tight end combination of the Sun Belt than Ollie Jennings and Zach Kuntz, but they have a combined 1 target in the first quarter. You'd expect them to be a part of the game plan here. Old Dominion knocking on the red zone's door. And that pass nearly skipped, and it is Jordan Bly who will actually lose a little bit. Lost a couple yards. 1 target for Jennings, no targets for Zach Kuntz. It's a little hard to imagine when you look at Zach Kuntz, who is 6'8" and 260 pounds.
Yeah, that has to change. 1 target combined between 2 guys who are as talented pass catchers as you're going to find not only in the conference but in the country. You got to find ways to get them touches.
No touch for either here. It's a run for Watson. Inside the 15. He sneaks past the line to gain. Needed a dozen. Got a Bakers for a first down.
He's such a hard runner, Blake Watson is. Nice block across the line of the scrimmage there by Kuntz. And you get a hat on that left side of that Old Dominion offensive line. And you get a fresh set of downs inside the red zone.
Back to Watson. Traffic in the backfield. No Lala Davis, their number 2 rusher from a season ago, suspended indefinitely, the school announced. So Watson, 215 carries last year, This is a player who used to be more of a jet sweep, wide receiver type guy in 2019. He's really worked hard to become a between the tackles runner at only 5'9". Out of the game right now, Obi Sadi, the freshman, is in for his first action. And Sadi will take it inside the 10, down inside the 5. That's a nice inaugural impression. Jaden McDonald rides down Sadi. It's a player that Kevin Reeder mentioned we might see.
Yeah, watch center, left guard, left tackle for Old Dominion again. Controlling the line of scrimmage, and on this drive so far, they've been winning the one-on-one matchups with the front side, or the front seven of this Virginia Tech defense, but more specifically, the left side of that Virginia Tech defensive line.
Can get a first down here at the 2. Wolf will hand it right back off, and there is a bullet from Nasir Peoples right out of the secondary and right into the backfield for a loss.
Well, they play zone coverage 3 over 2, so you knew he wasn't going to throw it out to the right. He didn't have the numbers, and watch Peoples just time this up and boom, shoot the gap. I mean, these Virginia Tech linebackers have clearly watched a lot of tape. They've used analytics to know that in third and short, that Old Dominion is very heavy run. And that's exactly what the Monarchs offense has done. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. They've been, if not 100%, close to it running the ball.
So the first field goal try for Ethan Sanchez, replacing the 4-year starter Nick Rice from 24. And hold your horses.
Before the ball was snapped, play of game, kicking team, 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
You know, and if I'm Ricky Ronnie, you know, a former play caller in himself at Penn State, and you know he's got to be thinking to himself, how do we get in the red zone and not at least get one type of target to Ali Jennings or Zach Kuntz? I mean, Zach Kuntz is 6'8". Right? I've nicknamed him the Big Mattress. Right? That is something that when he gets inside the red zone, give me some motions, give me some shifts, give me some opportunities to get his body and his size one-on-one.
Haven't thrown it to him yet. This from 29. And Sanchez is still good. 24, 29, no big thing. Ethan Sanchez drills his first career field goal, and Old Dominion will not be shut out in 2022.
Electrified. Hanguk Tire.
We have to tell everyone that we just switched to Verizon's new Welcome Unlimited plan for just $30.
I've already told everyone.
$30? That's awesome.
It's their best unlimited price ever.
For $30 a line, I'm switching now.
The network you want, the price you love, only from Verizon.
The greatest story ever played, the College Football Playoff on ESPN.
Story might get a little bit greater soon. Announcement today from the College Football Playoff Board of the expansion to a 12-team College Football Playoff by 2026. Were you happy to see that?
Yeah. Look, man, I think it's inevitable. I've always thought that more teams, more opportunity, more money was eventually coming, and it was only a matter of time.
Ball has fallen off the tee here for Dominic Seuss. It's been a wild offseason, certainly an offseason of change yet again. Old Dominion and a number of other teams coming to the Sun Belt. The big news in conference realignment, USC, UCLA will be heading to the Big Ten in a couple of years. And some folks wondered with the consolidation of the Big Ten and the SEC, would we get playoff expansion? And the answer today was a resounding yes. Keyshawn King near his own goal line. King with a good return. Out across 35, but there's a flag down at the 26-yard line. It was a good return. Wayne Winkler.
During the return, holding number 89 on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Jake Dulius So here's the playoff expansion overview from today. The Board of Managers agreed to expand the playoffs to 12 teams, at least in 2026, could be earlier. The model includes the 6 highest-ranked conference champions and 6 at-large teams. So that doesn't mean only power champions. It will likely be mostly power champions anyway, but you can be a higher-ranked conference champion from the American or maybe even the Sun Belt, which is a much more powerful conference this year. First down for Grant Wells, and nothing doing here. Chance Black in the backfield. The college football playoff has done a lot of good things for the sport, certainly. We've had some memorable national championship games. I think we can be honest and say that the college football semis, for the most part, have been duds.
Yeah.
So will this change the way that the power is consolidated in the sport?
I don't think so. Look, history tells us that just because you expand doesn't mean you're going to get more competitive games. And so what I believe is you're still going to see the cream rise to the top. You're going to see the same 4 to 5 teams that you see every single year. Now, I think it'll be an entertaining product because you'll see more teams and more opportunity, but different results.
Wells, deep pass, complete. Right to the sideline, Dawan Lofton. There's a long throw from Grant Wells for a first down to 15. There's a flag down, though, all the way in the backfield.
And it's too bad because a really crisp, really nice, smooth route from Lofton from the slot.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 9. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, automatic first down.
Marcus Haynes, the defensive end, so 15 on the play and 15 on the penalty.
Yeah, I said too bad, but it's going to stand. And just after that first down play, I was thinking to myself how both coordinators really, but Tyler Bowen needs to kind of break up the monotony of first down runs. It's become a little bit predictable on running the ball on first down for both teams. And just as I go to say that, he decides to push the ball down the field a little vertically for a big first down.
Tight to the formation here with Jalen Holst in the back. A fake to him. A deep shot again for Wells. All kinds of space for Stephen Gosnell. The North Carolina transfers. First catch in Hokie colors is good for a long one. Well into Old Dominion territory.
And another opportunity to push it over the field. The play action pass, the fake, gets those linebackers to suck up, and the condensed formation from Gosnell for a big play.
They're really using some tempo right now as well. Good first down carry for Holston after the catch of 24.
It's really a great job of using the run to set up the pass. The run on first down, and then using the play action. What that does to those linebackers, it puts them in such conflict. You're thinking run early in the downs, and then a play action pass right behind their ears.
Play action again for Wells. That is intercepted. Before it hit the ground, Tobias Harris took it away. How about the hands from the Division II All-American, a transfer from West Texas A&M, who ripped it right out of the breadbasket of Lofton.
And the second interception of the night for Grant Wells, and he's trying to throw an out route here into a press corner. That's a no-no. You cannot throw an out route into a corner that is pressed. You throw an out route when a corner is soft, and that's another decision that Brent Pry and Tyler Bowen are going to have to talk through and talk with about Grant Wells, about what did you see? It's been about the turnovers for Grant Wells. He put up big numbers at Marshall, threw for over 5,000 yards, broke a lot of the passing records at Marshall, and we highlighted it in the beginning, a true gunslinger. When you get a great gunslinger, you get the highs, but you also get the lows with it.
Wolf will throw it after the pick. There's a lot of contact there. That's got to be a penalty. And Nightquee Hawkins, who's wearing the 25 for Frank Beamer today, looks like he'll be on the wrong end of this. The first target for Zach Kuntz.
Defense number 25. Automatic first down at the spot on the clock.
Kuntz right here going to be lined up to the bottom of your screen. He's just going to run a corner route from the slot. He gets one-on-one with Hawkins. And this is as easy of a pass interference call as that back judge will have all season.
Nice attempt at catching it there by Kuntz anyway, considering one hand was being ripped from his body. That is well short for Bly. So Hayden Wolf making his 10th career start, his first in a season opener. Took over midway through the season last year for DJ Mack. Went 5-2 as a starter. Added a lot of muscle this year. Thought is they might lean on him a little bit more after a season where they were primarily run heavy. Gonna hand it off here. Watson. Kuntz is a blocker. Watson a pinball. And a good chunky yardage. Got 6 and up 3rd and 4. Mario Kendricks took him down.
So many times with these runs that should be 2-yard gains or 3-yard gains, they turn into 7 or 8-yard gains. It's not because Virginia Tech doesn't have a defender to account. I mean, right there, 2 missed tackles in the gap. And it's just missed tackles. I thought it was interesting. Brent Pry talked to us this week about how kids, when they get to college anymore, they don't come to campus great tacklers.
Wolf, all kinds of time, and incomplete. Looking for Kuntz again, and this time the coverage came from Jalen Stroman, the sophomore safety out of Oaksville.
Well, Virginia Tech defense here does a great job. It's man coverage, and ODU's running a ton of rub routes and pick routes, and watch them trade all this off. Look at that tight glove coverage by every single player in the secondary for this Hokies defense. You get 3rd and medium and you see a single high safety, you're expecting man coverage, and that's why you run those rubs and pick routes. You're hoping for a little bit of separation naturally on the route, but it's a great job of those guys in the secondary communicating it, passing off, getting through, but also deflecting the ball without getting a pass interference call.
Like we saw to start the drive. A low punt again from Dwayne. Will roll inside the 20. And a punt of 42. Hokie ball when we return as Virginia Tech works around the interception. Monday night Chick-fil-A kickoff from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It is a conference game in week 1. Number 4 Clemson taking on Georgia Tech at 8 Eastern. The only game on the Labor Day schedule. It's on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. College football countdown kicks it off at 7 Eastern. Clemson ranked number 4 in the country. There's still some offensive questions with the Tigers. They are the favorites in the Atlantic Division. Miami the favorites in the Coastal, where everybody but Duke gets a first place vote. And the Hokies picked to finish 5th in the Coastal Division. That's your ACC overview. It's a good NC State team as well, which a lot of folks think could give Clemson some trouble in the Atlantic. A couple of new faces in the Atlantic Coast Conference this year. Brent Pry, one of them, the first-year head man at Virginia Tech. With his new face at quarterback, trying to find his footing. 2 picks for Grant Wells. Chance Black on first down. So new head coaches at Virginia Tech with Brent Pry. New head coach at Virginia. An interesting Hokie Cavalier battle this year. Tony Elliott comes from Clemson. Mike Elko from Texas A&M at Duke, and Mario Cristobal, a Miami legend, all the way across the country from Oregon. Which of these head coaches do you think is most well-positioned to succeed long-term?
I said Mario Cristobal long-term, the resources, the commitment to football, and Brent Pry, Virginia Tech as well. They feel like they've found their guy.
It's the tight end Gallo. Slippery, just shy of a first down.
The thing that sticks out too with that list there is you got guys going back to their roots. Mario Cristobal, a Miami guy. Brent Pry obviously started his career and his coaching career here in the mid-90s.
GA in 1995, who always wanted to come back to Blacksburg. Had other head coaching opportunities, but this was the one for him. 3rd down run play. Need a couple of yards, they get 3. It's the freshman Black again, redshirt freshman out of Roebuck, South Carolina, who did not have a carry in 4 games last year.
You can see Virginia Tech trying to use tempo.
Right back to Black. Chance Black, little stutter step across the 45. Now that was shifty by Black.
Yeah. Well, watch these 2 cuts from this young redshirt freshman. He sees it, that bounce cut right there, and then this whoop cut right there. I mean, I said it earlier in the game, these young running backs are going to get an opportunity because of some of the injuries to some of the upperclassmen like Holston and Malachi Thomas.
Malachi Thomas unavailable for Virginia Tech. Their leading returning rusher has got a left foot injury. We've barely seen Holston. It was a game-time decision. Right now it's Keyshawn King, redshirt junior, out there. 2nd down and 10. Wells had to get rid of it quickly to King. And a nice job by Wells again to stand in the face of pressure. He's taken a couple of hits today and gotten the ball out quickly.
Yeah, that's the one thing about his game. He will stand in there. The pocket presence, the toughness here. He's got a free defender in his face. He probably was supposed to be picked up, but the reactionary skills of Grant Wells from the pocket are as good as they get.
Terry Jones had the hit. 3rd down run. Nowhere to go for King. He is chopped up by Terry Jones. And an interception earlier, in on the play with Chris Trinidad, and a loss on 3rd down.
I mean, Terry Jones is playing that nickel Sam spot. He runs all the way across the field to make a tackle for a loss here. I mean, he sees it, he reads it, and it's really the play, the assist should go to Alonzo Ford, number 5 for Old Dominion. He blows up the play, which essentially allows Terry Jones enough time to get in there and cause the tackle for loss.
Punt for Moore. Harris, who had the interception earlier, will reel in the fair catch of the 15. Old Dominion ball. It's been a defensive kind of night in Norfolk.
We have to tell everyone that we just switched to Verizon's new Welcome Unlimited plan for just $30.
I've already told everyone.
Wait, did you say Verizon for just $30?
It's their best unlimited price ever.
$30? That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's from the most reliable 5G network in America.
For $30 a line, I'm switching now.
Yeah, it's easy. And you get $960 when you switch the whole family.
Wow, I gotta let my buddies know.
We're already here.
The network you want, the price you love, only from Verizon.
All electric, with room for up to 7. It's the SUV electric has been waiting for. The all-new EQB from Mercedes-Benz.
Xfinity kickoff week, Labor Day weekend. We're just chock full of great college football all Saturday. Georgia and Oregon. Cincinnati, Arkansas is a really fun game. The Bearcats in the playoff last year. Utah and Florida, and then the Irish and the Buckeyes Saturday night. Florida State, LSU Sunday. Clemson, Georgia Tech Monday. Goodness, everywhere you look. And the big one Saturday night, Notre Dame, which will be led by Marcus Freeman for the first time after Brian Kelly departed to LSU. So you'll see Brian Kelly's old team Saturday night at 7:30, his new team Sunday night at 7:30. Hopefully Brian will continue to keep up the Cajun accent in the interviews. Hayden Wolf, that pass knocked down at the line. Marcus Freeman is a guy that exudes energy. If you meet him, you'll love him instantly. He has been so warmly received. The recruiting's been wonderful at Notre Dame. That might all go out the window very quickly when you go to the Horseshoe, and it's going to be an emotional day for him. Had a great career at Ohio State.
It is. I think this game comes down to what can Notre Dame do offensively. Everybody's been talking about Notre Dame's offensive line, but at the end of the day, I think you're going to have to go punch for punch and get into the 30s, maybe 40s to beat this Ohio State offense.
The pass flipped to the tight end, Dante Anthony, for 2. C.J. Stroud is back, major Heisman contender. Ohio State lost a couple of players to the NFL. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, no big deal. They still have oodles of skill position players with talent everywhere.
And remember, Ohio State defense was not good at all last year. They go out and hire Jeff Knowles from Oklahoma State, and so I personally think that a lot of the pressure resides on the defensive side of the ball in Columbus.
Coons, the tight end, is one of a couple of receivers left now in the slot on this 3rd and 8. Jennings is up there as well, still without a catch for the top 2 Monarch targets. Wolf will look that way. Wolf will go for Coons, who stumbled, and the throw was well short with Nasir Peoples all over him.
Well, it's clear as day from the snap of the ball that you're getting man coverage. Virginia Tech brings 5 in pressure, which means you're getting man with a free high safety in the middle of the field, and Hayden Wolf just throws an inaccurate pass, kind of a corner route from the slot to his big tight end, Zach Kuntz. And, that's the one thing. When you're throwing to a big body receiver, tight end, pass catcher in general, you got to give him a chance. He's just too big, got too big of a catch radius for you not to throw it somewhere in the vicinity.
Dwayne with the deeper punt this time. DJ Harvey driven back to his 32. Harvey will be knocked down right around his 32. Good coverage by Old Dominion on the punt of 51 yards.
It's amazing how both of these coordinators defensively and the flow of the game feels so similar right now, as both coordinators really not sitting back and being aggressive.
It's our Week 1 featured college football lineup, Saturday, Sunday, ABC and the ESPN app. We mentioned the Saturday night game in the shoe. Oregon and defending champion Georgia before that. Do the Ducks have what it takes to pull off a major upset? And then Brian Kelly's LSU debut in the All-State Louisiana kickoff against Florida State. Sunday night, 7:30 Eastern. All games on ABC. Streaming on the ESPN app. Keyshawn King bounces out of a whole bunch of Monarchs, and King, who looked like he would have nothing, ends up with 14 and a first down.
It should be a tackle for loss. Old Dominion brings outside linebacker and the safety off of a blitz here, and they've got him stunned. Look, 2 Old Dominion defenders there with an opportunity to wrap up Keyshawn King. And how many times tonight have we seen him break tackles when it looks like it should be a 1-yard gain? It turns into a big play.
Right back on the ground to King. Old Dominion for the first half has been without Ryan Henry, their third leading tackler a season ago. Henry is out in the first half because of a targeting penalty he incurred in the second half of the Myrtle Beach Bowl way back in December. So they're a little bit thinner there for now. We've seen more of Stephen Williams. This is the injured player Devin Brandt Epps for ODU.
And we've seen a lot of missed tackles tonight on both sides of the ball. We got into an interesting conversation with Brent Pry about tackling and how players come from high school really unprepared more so than ever now. They're just not tackling as much anymore.
We'll take a timeout for the injured player. Second down for the Hokies when we return. The lunch pail is not the only celebrated return in Blacksburg. Bill Roth, the voice of the Hokies for 27 years, 1988 to 2015. Left Virginia Tech for a season, went to UCLA, knew his heart was in Blacksburg. He came back to Blacksburg, started working at the university, established a sports media and analytics program there, and Bill proved that you can go home again. He returns this season for his 28th year as Virginia Tech play-by-play announcer. Also does some games for us here at ESPN. Here's a big run for Keyshawn King, and Bill's going to have an electric call on this one. We can promise you that. Inside the 20, a first down Tech.
And it's King again, left side of this offensive line, gets a hat on a hat. We're going to watch the left guard, Jesse Hansen here, 72, center Johnny Jordan, and he just bounces off of guys. He's physical, he's tough, but it's the yards after the contact that Tyler Bowen told us that is most impressive with the redshirt junior.
And R.T. Johnson is down for Old Dominion after that big run for King. I do just want to say quickly while we're talking about Bill, number one of the great people in college football, one of the iconic voices. Sometimes when you stick around a place a while, you get called an icon because of longevity. Bill is a great broadcaster, period, and people at ESPN know that, and also one of the kindest, most supporting people to young broadcasters around. So it's so good to have Bill back where he belongs in the Virginia Tech booth, and appropriately enough, right on the blue waters of the Chesapeake for his return.
Doesn't the Pryor have a little bit of a feel like the Beamer era? All these guys back, J.C. Price back, Bud Foster back involved a little bit, Bill Roth is back.
As Bill said, we're playing the hits. It's like REO Speedwagon back on tour. Under 3 to play. Here's Holston for a gain of 5 yards.
Sure, Virginia Tech fans will absolutely take that. Anything that's reminiscent of the greatest coach of program history and college Hall of Famer and Coach Beamer. Well, the thing that I think about with Coach Beamer in the glory days is just recruiting and owning this area, right? And the amount of great players that came from, Hampton Roads and Virginia Beach. And I think that's what Brent Pry knows. He has got to get back to those in-state recruits and keeping them in-state.
Not much here for Holston. If you look at the Virginia recruiting rankings right now, 4 of the top 7 commits in the class of 2023 out of Virginia are committed to Penn State, in part because of what Brent Pry did in his previous job. He and Ricky, Ronnie, and James Franklin really dominated Virginia Tech in recruiting in the state.
They wiped the floor. A lot of these kids were going to Penn State. Some of them were going to North Carolina. Very few were staying in state. The good news is that Brent Pry has a lot of those pre-existing relationship with those recruits from the Penn State.
They're down at 5. Wells gets rid of it. It is caught inside the 5. First down, Tech. There is a flag in the secondary. Dawan Lofton will set up first and goal pending penalty.
Pass interference. Offense, number 18. 15-yard penalty. Replay third down.
That is the walk-on William Kakavitsis dealing a major blow to Tech's touchdown hopes.
It was a great throw. It looked like a great route. Here he is to the right on the outside of this bunch, and you can't see it from that angle. They called it on 18, who's at the top of the screen in the bunch, and they're going to get him from offensive pass interference for blocking, essentially, is what they're saying.
You're not certain.
You're definitely not blocking on a play like that. But I don't know why he's making contact with the DB.
Didn't exactly sell it. So instead of first and goal inside the 5, it's 3rd and 15. A long way to go for Wells. He'll look to go a long way. Just check it down short instead. The feet were initially in bounds for Gosnell with a gain of 7. And it'll be field goal time for Will Ross.
It's almost like, going back to that pass interference on Kakavita, it's almost like he thought it was a different play, like a screen or something. You know, because he's downfield looking like he's blocking. So I'm not for sure what happened there, the miscommunication, if he thought it was another play. But if you're Old Dominion, you're wiping your eyebrow because it should have been first and goal inside the 5.
Be a field goal try instead for Ross, transfer from Coastal Carolina, who has not played in 3 years. From 38, the snap gets away. Oh boy, this is a whole mess. Old Dominion's gonna pick it up. It's gonna be a scoop and score. Touchdown, Monarchs. Robert Kennedy, the safety, all the way down the field, and Old Dominion has surged into the lead as Virginia Tech makes a mess of the field goal try. The largest crowd in SB Ballard Stadium in Old Dominion football history has unleashed its loudest roar yet. Old Dominion in front for the first time.
Well, it's the bobbled snap, it's the bad snap, it's maybe a combination of both, but it's exactly what Old Dominion needed to get this crowd off of its feet. An interception led to 3 points earlier in the game for Old Dominion, and now a touchdown on a scoop and score on a bad snap. A high snap. And if you're try to get on it as best as you can there. If you're 85 for Virginia Tech, he misses it, and it's a house call for Old Dominion.
Justin Pollock is the long snapper for Virginia Tech. Typically, you do not want your name to be mentioned if you're the long snapper. 29 yards officially on the return, the 3rd turnover for Old Dominion, which fell behind early on a clinical 2nd drive from Grant Wells. But the Monarchs have held up since, and they get a gift that they convert into 7th. Wow.
There's 22,000 people in this stadium. Half of them are on their feet now.
There's still a lot of maroon in the crowd, but The light blue, the Hudson blue as they call it, of Old Dominion has lit up the sky. Bryce Duke has the return. We've talked a few times about Virginia Tech trying to throw this thing back a little bit to the Frank Beamer era. Maybe the staple tee of Frank Beamer football to Virginia Tech, good special teams.
Beamer ball. What do you think of when you think Beamer ball? You immediately go to special teams. And 3 turnovers already tonight for Virginia Tech is going to drive Brent Pry absolutely nuts. We talked about what's the thing that you're most kind of concerned and worried about in your first game. He's like, I'm just worried about penalties, clean football, and execution, and certainly didn't get it on that long field goal.
Last season, Virginia Tech committed 12 turnovers in 13 games, tied for 13th fewest in the country. 3 1/2 tonight. Wells out of an empty backfield will run it. Wells is hit and wrapped up. Maury Morrison, the Virginia Beach sophomore, with a stop.
If you're Wells here, you just got to be smart. You've already thrown 2 interceptions tonight. You've got 3 timeouts. Good decision there to use his legs as a check down. Get up in the pocket. What you can't do here is give Old Dominion another opportunity to a short field.
Chaz Wallace is the injured Monarch for a stoppage with 1:05 to go.
And this is an area, too, and we haven't spent a lot of time yet talking about the receiving room for Virginia Tech, but they lost a good bit of production last year. And their leading receiver coming back this year is Caleb Smith, who only had 20 catches for 260 yards last year. And so there's kind of a question mark at the receiver room for Virginia Tech. And here's a position with about a minute and some change left in a predictable passing situation with an opportunity for one of these 3 guys to step up and make some big-time catches.
Smith is not in the game right now either. Haven't called the name of Jaden Blue, the Temple transfer, yet. A record setter 3 years ago. He's wide to the left. Wells was looking his way. Hit as he throws. Oh, it was nearly intercepted again. The pressure came from Haynes. The ball slipped through the midst of Jason Henderson.
Well, Haynes comes from the blind side of Grant Wells. Grant you can see him, he feels it. He's trying to get outside the pocket a little bit, and as he goes to throw it, his arm gets hit, and he's very fortunate that this wasn't another interception.
Nearly a big play by Henderson in Norfolk, which some folks have seen in the last couple of months.
All start. Offense, number 7. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Parker Clements, the right tackle, and Virginia Tech did 2 things really well a season ago in a tough year. Number 1, they didn't commit penalties, 5 per game. They've committed 6 tonight. Number 2, they didn't turn it over. 12 in 13 games. They've turned it over 3 times tonight. 3rd and 12. Wells looking to go short. He'll go short to the left. First touch for Blue. Blue is gobbled up. Old Dominion is all over him. Jason Henderson with a loss of 3. And the Monarchs take a timeout. They're on the front foot now.
Well, Virginia Tech had an opportunity with 1:05 left and 3 timeouts, and then you get a false start penalty that puts you in a long, predictable passing situation. And in a 2-minute drive, when these defensive ends in college football know that you're going to throw it, they're going to tee off on your right tackles. It's hard on these right tackles to pass set for a long amount of time when these defensive ends are peeling their ears back and they're coming after your quarterback. And I think the right decision there by Ricky Ronnie as well, with the momentum on your side, to burn a timeout. You had 3 of them. Virginia Tech's going to be backed up. Depending on how well this kick is, Old Dominion could have some pretty good field position.
Pete Moore will stand at his own 5. Isaiah Page standing at his 35. High snap again. Good job by Moore to reel this one in. It's a punt of 48 yards and a fair catch for Page. So 35 seconds and 2 timeouts. How aggressive are you here if you're Old Dominion?
I am aggressive. I've talked about, I think at times, first down, they've been a little too conservative, a little bit too predictable with running the football. The lack of targets to Ali Jennings and Zach Kuntz tonight. This is a great time, a great opportunity. Let's use some motions, you use some shifts, try to design a one-on-one situation to one of these guys, and you've got Kuntz right there, number 80, attached to the bottom of your screen, and it looks like he's going to be covered by Amari Chapman.
Emotions out. Jennings is wide to the left.